had a look into back end operations from the business side, talking about that career transition from investment banking to the Chicago Cubs. Today, we have a veteran. Today, we actually have somebody who has a direct impact on the field, although I'm pretty sure he could be looking for a middle reliever himself for the bullpen, but that's besides the point. Today, we are privileged to be joined by someone who has mastered the art of the civilian transition across multiple high stakes industries. Eric Gonzalez began his career in the United States Army as a signal support NCO, serving for over 7 years in Hawaii. Since hanging up the uniform, he has relentlessly pursued a professional growth, earning a master's degree in emergency management and homeland security from the Arizona State University and building a resume that reads like a masterclass in career progression. Eric's journey has taken him through the heart of Silicon Valley and into the world of Major League Sports. He has served as incident commander of global giants like Google and YouTube, as well as an MRST agent for Meta. He has also excelled in government relations and sales, proving that veteran skills are adaptable to nearly any corporate environment. Currently, he serves as the ballpark security manager for the San Diego Padres, where he oversees the safety and operations for one of the world's most premier sports venues. I can't say enough about this. Beyond his professional success, Eric remains deeply committed to our community, serving as the junior vice commander for VFW Post 7420. He understands the challenges of transition process because he has lived them, moving from a technical signal work to corporate security leadership. Please join me in welcoming a leader who truly knows how to bridge that gap between service and the civilian sector, Mr. Eric Gonzalez. Good afternoon, sir. Or, yep, it is noon in San Diego. How are you doing today,
Yes.
brother?
Pretty good. Thank you for that introduction. Happy to be here with you guys today.
We had the Cubs on yesterday. I've not been to Wrigley, but I have been to your stadium, and last year I did go. So I will say 1,000%. Very impressed with your team. Everything was absolutely remarkable. So you are a veteran, so I generally like to lead it out with give us your origin story. What led you to the Army, and what got you to the Padres?
Yeah. Eric Gonzalez, born and raised here in San Diego, California. One of the rare and most celebrity here's a transplant coming into San Diego. Joined the Army right after high school in 2006. Went to basic training in Georgia, then ended up in Hawaii. Right after I landed in Hawaii, I did deploy. A month later, I was in Iraq for my first tour, 15 months. Came back to Hawaii, did the whole integration back to trade-off environment. Went back to training. A year later, I was back in Iraq, and then I did my 12-month deployment, and then I got put on the advent party to come back to Hawaii to ETS. So roughly got 3 weeks from the time I left Iraq back to San Diego after my 7-year military career.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I just saw your notes, so I'm just making
Okay.
sure I put myself on a
Yes.
timer so that way I don't run you over. But you know what? This resume, I was looking at your LinkedIn profile, you have a wide variety of stuff. Yesterday we had one of the business development guys for the Cubs on. How did you end up at the Padres? I mean, were you just using LinkedIn? Did you get it in? Like, how did you get there, man?
Yeah, so it's all about networking and building those relationships. Luckily, our director of security, he's an Army veteran as well. So we kept connected throughout the years, working together. Um, Before he got to the Padres, I worked for Snapdragon Stadium here in San Diego, home of the San Diego State football team and WSL San Diego Wave, and most recently the San Diego FC MLS team. So when he got to San Diego, he was trying to get all the venues in San Diego together, work together, make sure all San Diego fans are secure because we all share the same fans. So we kind of worked together, and eventually he asked me to come to the Padres, and I've been here since August.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I was there in June, so it was before your time, but
Yep.
because you're there now, guess what? I'm now going to have to go buy tickets. So you've worked in a variety of different organizations besides the Army, working for tech giants in Major League Sports. What do you see are those big cultural differences between those two different types of organizations?
When it comes to the lifestyle, it's a little bit different. Working for tech companies, everybody that's their dream job, especially on the tech side. So being security in that environment, it's a little bit more challenging because most of the guys, they're so, I'm sorry to say this, they're book smart, but not a common sense smart. So it makes it a bit challenging when it comes to kind of protecting the type of environment. Dealing with the special events in the middle of San Francisco or San Jose, bringing all those executives into the city, it just creates a challenge because they're not really aware of what's going on around their environment at all times.
Love it. I love it 100% for sure. I want to touch on the fact that we have skill bridgers here and it feels like that they're starting over. How did you handle taking on these roles? And while you were building, did you ever have those moments to where you were deflated? And how did you pick yourself back up? Not to pivot off of what we were just
Yeah.
talking about, but there we are.
Yeah, no, I mean it was a challenge. So I didn't, it took me a year, a couple of years to get to where I'm at now. Coming out the military, like I said, I had 3 weeks of ETS from Iraq, back to come back to San Diego, trying to figure out what I want to do. So I went, I tried. So when I got out initially, I go back to my first job after the military. So I landed a job with DirecTV doing installs. So that was kind of landed working with the veteran organization. They were trying to hire more veterans in the industry. So I did that for a couple of years, so trying to figure out what I wanted to do as a civilian. Enrolled at the University of Phoenix, trying to, get a degree using my GI Bill, 'cause that's the only thing I knew about the VA, just GI Bill, use your benefits, go to school and get a degree. So I did that for a couple of years, 3 years, and I moved to the East Coast in Charlotte, landed a sales job. Did that for a couple of years, trying to figure out if it was the right move for me. Uh, it wasn't, so I moved back to San Diego, same thing, landed another sales job. So back in 2018, one of my army buddies kind of reached out to me. He informed me about this new company, one of our old commanders had started. Got a big contract with Google and Facebook, so trying to get veterans back together, build that team, and provide security for the tech company. So that's how I kind of landed in the security field. Once I got there, working with the veterans, it just reminded me of like the old days in the military. You built that bond, that camaraderie. It's enjoyable working and just kind of landed from there, going from tech, and then it's transitioning over to the sports side of security.
I love it. I love it. A lot of people, when we go to baseball games, we see, the people at the front gate, the metal detectors. I'm a Boston kid, but I live in Denver now, so Coors Field. I know Rockies, we're not going to get into that. But, what is your day in the life, between games and what's a game day like for you? How are you working through your processes and sort of paint that picture for people who are interested?
Yeah, so usually game day for a fan, it's maybe 2 3 hours. For us, we're here at 10 12 hours, you know, total from a game start to game end. So prepping, making sure our event staff's aware of what's going on, any threats around the city or a player or a manager, just making sure our equipment's up to point, making sure we troubleshoot any issue we might have, go over any specific needs for a team coming in or a VIP, and just making sure our staff is really aware of what's going on and ready to, welcome over 35,000 guests for a baseball game on a Wednesday or a Thursday.
I love it. So there's a lot of liaison work. Obviously, you're
Yeah.
dealing with San Diego PD, you might be dealing with HSI, everything like that. Like, how is that cross-functional, relationship like? And what if your experience from being in the military helped you get to that position and help you with those interactions?
Yeah, so going back to military days, you learn how to interact with other organizations, especially if you're overseas, dealing with the local government, local PD, or local armed forces down there. So similar in the civilian world, you're building that relationship with the San Diego PD. When I was at Snapdragon Stadium, we're on state property, so dealing with San Diego State PD, Cal Fire or San Diego Fire here, the EMTs, making sure we're all on the same page, making sure we're communicating because one mistake from EMT is gonna make another mistake for PD or vice versa for our team, making sure we're all communicating, we're all on the same page.
I love it. I love it. So you're a junior vice commander at the VFW. How does staying involved with the veterans community help you with your professional networking?
Oh man, it's been great for me. So when I came out the military, I had limited resources. I didn't know what VFW was or what the VA fully did for our veterans or for myself. So it took me a while to figure out what they did for the community. So I got involved with Don Diego VFW here in San Diego, down in Barrio Logan. So we help, any veteran, especially in the Navy folks. We're down the street from the Navy base on 32nd base, just helping them out either with their benefits, with their claims, trying to in any situation or crisis they may be dealing with. We help with that. We provide food for the community, for the local schools. Just it's important for us, especially in San Diego, at the Don Diego BFW, kind of help out and give out to the community that we grew up in.
I love it. I love it 100%. When you got to the Padres, what was that like the first time walking into the stadium? What sort of like oh no moment? Did you have sort of like an oh no moment, or was it like, oh my gosh, I'm here, it's legit? What was that like getting there? Because that's a huge thing. And I've looked at careers with sports teams in the past, and it's just like I don't think I could do it. Like, when did you walk out in the field and be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm here in Petco Park"? What was that like?
Yeah, so for me, so my office is towards the loading dock, so that's where the players park. So the first time I was walking from my office down to the front office, I saw Trevor Hoffman growing up. That was my hero, going to Qualcomm Stadium, and we just crossed path, and I was like, oh shit, like I'm here, like I'm walking to Trevor Hoffman.
Yeah. I mean, that's got to be something. I kind of want to dig into your Google and Meta experience because I did get a few questions in the chat as well as earlier today because people were checking you out. And I'm gonna drop,
Okay.
if you don't mind, I'm gonna drop your LinkedIn
Yeah.
profile into the chat so people can connect with you. You were an incident commander there. What was your day in the life with being an incident commander, and how did you develop your battle rhythm to handle those corporate crises, versus your time in the Army? And how did those experiences excel you to where you're at now?
Yeah, so a little bit of background on the specific job I did at Google. So I don't know if you guys remember. So back in 2000, I want to say 17, there was a shooting at the YouTube headquarters on San Bruno. So when that happened, that's they focused more on security and took security more seriously. That's when they created our team, the incident commanders. So that's when they brought all this previous military law enforcement guys together, create this new program. So we were all kind of, I guess, deployed to a building within the Google or Google offices. So our main job was to be the first responders in case something similar happened. Using our military background or training, we kind of did similar training every quarter, just making sure we're life saving measures, how to respond to an active shooter, how to respond to I know most of these guys are tech guys. They like working at Google as their dream jobs. When they get terminated, that's one of our biggest incidents. Like, how would they react? You work so hard to get there and you get terminated. People react differently or just they blow up and try to fight or something like that. So we're trained, to keep up with that and how to handle those type of situations. And having that military background and that military training kind of helped us develop that program and making sure a similar incident that happened at YouTube before that should never happen again.
I love it. And there's definitely that progression there because you are dealing with people who are, in the stadium, and you're going to need to be able to respond to it as well as, lead it. There are times in which in the civilian world, you always can't lead with rank and you don't have the true direct authority to do it. How did you adapt your leadership styles to manage your civilian teams, whether it was at Snapdragon, whether it was at the tech firms, or at Petco?
Just being approachable. That's the biggest thing. If you're not approachable, you're not going to be a great leader or a manager anywhere you go. Just being approachable, making sure you're listening to your team and adjusting to whatever the mission is.
I love it. I love it 1000%. Um, I do generally like to leave it open. So if anybody does have any questions, we are short on time. We are going to end this at 50 past the hour. So if people do have questions, please raise your hand so that way get my attention. So that way we can ask Eric some questions. But when it comes to Jeffrey, I was waiting for you, brother, because you're one of the sports guys. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Hey, Eric. Thanks for coming to speak with us today. I actually was shooting you a note on LinkedIn, but I've got an interest in holding a role very similar to you. I have a security background. I see you have a security background. I know you mentioned you networked and knew someone to get you into that position. But if I was interested in pursuing ballpark security, security management, whether for the NFL or the Major League Baseball in Tampa or internationally, specifically the NFL international games, because I'm in Germany. What insight could you provide, and if any?
Yeah, I do recommend checking out Teamwork. That's when they post all the sports entertainment jobs, from security operations. So go through that website, just look for who's hiring, reach out to LinkedIn. Uh, Once you get there, I mean, that's the best advice I can give you. Reach out, just network yourself, just putting them out there, or try getting into a specific team if you can. Then from there, kind of branching off. So we do have a lot of once you're in working for a team, there's a lot of networking, there's a lot of cross functionings that we do in meetings. That's the best way to kind of sell yourself to other teams or leagues.
Okay, what was that? I didn't catch what was that website?
Teamwork.com. So anything
Teamwork.
that's sports related, they'll put posts in there anywhere from NFL, MLB, NBA, the NWSL stuff.
Okay, thank you.
I love it. I love it 100%. Yeah, I was getting some questions in the chat on that. Anybody else have any other questions for Eric? Otherwise, I'm just going to keep on going, and you guys know how I am.
I kind of have a question.
Fire away, Monique. I was waiting for you, girl. Go ahead.
I was just wondering, because I know communication is important, and since you deal with so many agencies, do you guys use like one platform that helps you guys communicate in real time?
We do. So we use multiple softwares here, one of them being Titan HSD. So it's kind of a internal chat group that has all the leaderships with our organization, including PD, including EMTs, and anybody else working for the ballpark.
And just a follow-up question. If someone was looking to um, do what you do, would they have to have prior knowledge in that software?
No, software's always changing. I recently changed to this specific software. So long as you're tech savvy and you're willing to learn something new, man, it wouldn't make a difference if you have the experience on it or not.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
This is a really cool website. I didn't even know this existed until right
Yeah.
now. I'm definitely going to be hunting through there. I do want to kind of bring in sort of your Army experience because the soft skills are often overlooked. With your perspective in your day to day, because it's controlled and uncontrolled chaos, what are some of the soft skills, the top three per se, that you recommend that we bring on to civilian employment?
Yep. Just being resilient, being adaptable, and a hard worker. That's the biggest three that I can recommend to anybody coming into the civilian world. Especially being the veteran, you're always changing from either PCSing or deployment. You're always in a different environment. But as long as you're adaptable or willing to take change, that's a great asset to anywhere you're going to come as a civilian.
I love it. I love it. I love it. You know, what do you do in your downtime to decompress? Because you're at the stadium 12, 14 hours a day. You're managing multiple different things all at once. You're coordinating in-house as well as potentially, the teams that are coming in. Like what are some of the things that you do to decompress, to sit there and get the stress off besides driving over to Coronado and going to
Yes.
Miguel?
And just spending time with my family. I got three daughters, so just spending as much time as them. I know once I was working at Snapdragon Stadium, doing working all 13, 14 hour days, kind of harder to miss them. Either they're at school and I go to work, I won't get home till like 1, 2 in the morning. So that's my anytime I spend time with the family. That's really important to kind of ground yourself and kind of reset that way for me.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Jeffrey and Brian, thank you for dropping that into the chat. I appreciate it. I was digging for it. But your resume has shown a lot of steady progressive growth. What strategies for knowing when it's time to leave for a job opportunity do you see to find that better opportunity? Very recently, one of my dream roles came up and I tried to make my shot and unfortunately I got passed for it. But when do you sit there and get that aha moment to sit there and go for it?
Just kind of reevaluating what you've done in the organization, making sure they value what you bring. That was one of the big things for me. I gave you all I can give you. If you're not taking care of me, then it's time for me to go somewhere else and kind of find that growth and grow professionally. So making sure you know your worth for sure.
I love it. Yeah, absolutely. Knowing your worth, right? Show of hands. Who here really sits there and knows their worth and know their value? Just throw your hands up real quick. Monique, I knew that you would be the first one to do it. As you can tell, she's one of the ones that always likes to ask good questions. Same with Jeffrey and others as well. You know, if you could go back in time to your first duty station, or you're going to AIT signals, so you were, I forget where that school is out of. I'm an Army guy, so don't worry, I speak your language. But what would be the one piece of advice that you would give yourself after you've now gone through this wonderful career progression that you've had?
Don't give up. I know, I mean, it wasn't easy for me getting here. Struggles dealing with mental health, PTSD, previous relationship issues. So no, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. Just don't give up. And things get hard. You just have to learn how to push through it and work hard and give it your all.
I love it. I love it 100%. Being a signals NCO to this, a lot of people sit there and they're like, why would you do it? Like, what really got you into this? When I got out, I did spend some time doing some PSD work. And, I've always been looking for that next to sort of step up, but you clearly have embraced it for sure. Like, what drew you to this, particularly where you're at now with that wonderful backdrop that you have on Zoom? Like what keeps you going every single day? Because it can be a tough job. It's like a lot of cops and guys who I chat with. It's long hours. It's people misunderstanding things. You're juggling 9,000 things all at once. Like what really drew you to it?
Working events, it's not for everybody. So you're putting in 12, 13-hour days. Just making it for me is like making a difference, making sure we get 30, 40,000 people for an event, making sure they get here safe, enjoy the event, and get to go home safe afterwards. So yeah, that for me, I enjoy it. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I made a difference in someone's life for that day.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So you obviously came in midstream to the season last year. You know, when your first major league game, obviously there, looking back on it now, sort of looking at the micro, you're like, what is one little thing? And you don't have to be too specific that you would have changed.
Having more time to kind of learn the policies and the SOPs here. When it comes to baseball, they have this big manual, everything you have to know, and making sure that the ballpark's safe and the guests and the players. So it's having a little bit more time to kind of reviewing that. I went from like working at Snapdragon on Friday and starting at Pickle Park on Monday. So it was a quick transition for me.
I love it. I love it. Oh, Jeffrey just sat there and put into the chat World Cup Regional Safety and Emergency Prepared Operator in Switzerland. Yep, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, it's getting out there. How did you handle your identity shift? Because, I've been out since 2015, and there are times to where I still sometimes struggle with that identity shift. And, no longer putting on the camouflage uniform, now putting on a different uniform. What were some of the things that you worked through to sit there and embrace your military background, but maintaining that civilian lifestyle?
Just taking time for yourself. That's the most important thing I can recommend. Just keeping your goals focused on what you want to do. If it's something that, try something different. If it didn't work out, don't feel disappointed. Just take it as a learning experience. Take whatever you learn and apply it to the next opportunity or the next job you're gonna do. If it's like, went from like direct TV to sales, then to security, I used everything I learned in each industry. I kind of put myself into until I found where the right for me. Just take everything as a learning experience and apply it to the next thing you're gonna do.
I love it. I love it 100%. Thank you. I do want to talk about your education. And, you got your master's degree from ASU while working full time. We do have quite a few people here that are working on certifications, working on advanced degrees, things like that. How did how critical was that getting that master's degree to get those doors open for you? And how did what was your rhythm to balance that out?
Yeah, so definitely it was not easy. I was working nights, 13-hour shifts, so just making time because that's something that I want to accomplish. Being a first generation Mexican American, first generation veteran, that's something I always wanted to accomplish, making sure I learned something new. And my goal was to get my master's degree, which I did, just making sure you're committed to what you're trying to accomplish. So I said I put myself, use my benefits, and got my associates, got my bachelor's, and eventually got my master's. Just staying focused to the mission, to your vision.
Fantastic, fantastic. I love it. I do want to open it up a little bit more because we do have a little bit of time left. Any other questions or any thoughts, Chris? I can see the wheels spinning in your head right now. I could sense that you potentially have something you want to say. My peer is rather quiet. I do apologize. Oh, for a minute there, that looked like the Rockies logo. I was like, oh no. We're coming up to spring training and things like that. And you guys, obviously, being a West Coast team like the guys here in Denver, are you going to be going down to Arizona with the team, or are you going to be staying in San Diego while making sure you get the ramp up for the season just right?
Yeah, so I will be going to spring training. So I'll be out there the week, then coming back to San Diego, and then going back again for 2 weeks. So I'm gonna going back and forth, trying to get ready for the new season, making sure our new manuals are in place, making sure we got our new training in place for the 2026 season, and just going back and forth between San Diego and Arizona.
Okay. What coordination wise, you're obviously, is it going to be like hotels for you, or do they have like team housing down there?
It'll be a hotel, so the Padres will provide the hotel for us to stay down there.
Okay. What is that like, having to sit there and, what's your master plan on being able to balance that between, traveling back and forth and everything? And do you hit the road with the team, or are you mostly staying in San Diego in season?
During the season, I'll be in San Diego, so we do have specific agents, I guess, TSPs, travel security personnel that travels with the team. So that is a specific role dedicated to the team that travels with them.
Okay. What sort of background do your guys who travel with the team have? Are you looking for like 11 Bravos? You looking for, Air Force SF guys? I'm pretty sure that if someone with an 18 series MOS came across your table, you'd say, yes, please, yoink. What sort of background, if you want to travel with the team, would you be looking for to hire in?
Yeah, 11 Bravos or prior law enforcement experience. That's what the MOB requirement is.
Okay. And if they do want to pursue something like that, if they want to get into um that, like, what does the process look like? Is it strictly just the Padres application process, or are you being screened by MLB as well?
So it's a little bit of both. So once you apply for the role with the club, then the MLB does review that and making sure you're a good fit because you are going to be traveling to other clubs as well, making sure you're a good fit for the organization and for the league.
Okay. and it sounds like you can't really get into too much of that information, so I'm not going
Right.
to pry that out of you. You obviously have some really strong talent on the team. You got Xander Bogaerts, you got Manny Machado. You have some really solid individuals on the team. What is it like trying to balance out their needs in the stadium security wise and traveling versus the needs of the organization, if you can get into that, because that's something that does
Yeah.
interest me a little bit.
Great. So it goes back to what the needs are of the organization first and the players. So we're kind of working with everybody, working with the liaison between the front office and the player side, just making sure the same thing, communicating, making sure we are meeting the needs without going too specific on the security side.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
do they have their own security people that handle them outside of the team, or is it all done in-house?
All in-house.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Whenever you see Manny just sit there and, shake his hand and say a guy in Colorado from Boston really does
Yeah.
appreciate him, because
Yeah.
that was when he made that move, I was really
Yeah.
surprised. I was surprised New York didn't pick him up, but
Yeah.
um, you know, I'm kind of I got questions for you, but I know that you're not going to be answer them for security reasons. But what is I kind of want to pivot on to LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is the 400-pound gorilla of
Yeah.
networking, things like that. What has been your success with your LinkedIn experience? What have you stumbled on? What do you think these veterans here could sit there and use your experience for, so that way they can help them with either the networking or the branding or anything like that whatsoever?
Yeah. For me, it's just making sure you sell yourself, man. You know what you're worth, and to focus on that. For me, when I was at Snapdragon Stadium, I was able to build those relationship with the teams, built the great relationship with San Diego FC. So now I do kind of a gig jobs for them. So just making sure you're able to sell and know your worth, and then just reflect that on your LinkedIn. And people are going to be reaching out to you left and right. And just sell yourself, know your worth.
Yeah, that's really solid for sure. I mean, how often are you on LinkedIn? Are you on there like daily, weekly, or you're like, I'm at the Padres, I'm done. You can contact me.
Maybe once a day. I see what's out there, see what's going on in the industry.
I love it. I love it. I love it 100%. You know, it's interesting to chat with people. We talked with someone, like I said, an investment banker who went to the Cubs. Did you ever see yourself, when you were working through Silicon Valley, that you're there at Petco and
No,
you're there? No,
no,
I mean, what was your reaction when you got the job? Because that's obviously you were at Snapdragon, so you had the experience and everything, but there you are, representing one of the biggest brands on the
yeah.
planet. Like, oh my gosh, you're jumping up and down in the living room, or is it like, I got it?
It was more of a oh shit, like I'm here. If you would have asked me 8 months ago if I would see myself working for the Padres, I would say no. This is the team I grew up going to the games at Qualcomm Stadium. Then when the ballpark opened in 2000, I was coming here as a fan, and now they think that I'm working here. Like never in my mind that it crossed I'll be working for the Padres.
I love it. I love it. I do want to kind of go back to some of the tech stuff. And you were dealing with security with obviously the 400-pound gorillas in the tech world. We got a lot of people here who are interested in tech. You were seeing the people on a day-to-day basis doing the security there, things like that. For those who want to go to Google and Meta and all of those, what would be your recommendation for those individuals who want to go into programming, who want to go into, project management, digital media, things like that? There's a laundry list of people that are looking for, cybersecurity and stuff like that. What do you recommend from a personal perspective for them, how they carry themselves and how they present themselves to individuals like you or just to the world?
Yep. Goes back. You use your benefits. Market yourself. Gain that like Clay mentioned. Certifications. Use your benefits. Join any working groups. Join any local networking events. I know if you go to Google I can't remember the website of it, but they do have a lot of mixers in the area or wherever they're at. Just join those. Just go in there and just talk to people, shoot a message, and just put your information out there and just whatever certification you can get, use your benefits to get those, and that's gonna open up a bunch of doors for you guys.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Besides VFW, what other veterans events do you like to go to? I know Veterans Beer Club out there in San Diego is a big thing, and I know some people in that circle. Like, what other besides VFW are you using to network with and sort of work through the veterans community out there in San Diego?
Not recently. Before I used to work a lot with the DAV, the Disabled American Veterans, but most all my work now is with the VFW, especially the cause my local VFW does. It's all my focus I do with them, but the veterans.
There's somebody, I'll connect with you offline. There's someone in the San Diego area that I would love to get you in front of because he'd love to have you on the podcast that he runs because of what he does. And he works with another veterans organization. So, we're kind of coming up short on time, and I know you got the hard stop. So, again, I want to open it up to everyone here who has questions. Again, we have another person who's on the backside of Major League Baseball here today. This is a very rare opportunity. Who has questions? Go ahead and, ask away, guys. This time is for you. Nothing? Okay. I'm going to have one last question for you. I want to tie in something that was military related to what you deal with now, whether it be a time deployed or you were at a school or something like that. You got to the Padres, there you are. Did you ever have any one of those moments to where you connected something from that past experience in the military, again, deployed or a schoolhouse or whatever, that you sat there and said, oh, well, hey, I remember going through that and it helped you work through that process?
Yeah, so example of that was when I was at Snapdragon Stadium. I said this was our first time with the MLS team. So knowing San Diego, LA have the big, you know, they don't get along, especially with the team, sports teams. So when we had LAFC come down to San Diego, we had this massive brawl. Just muscle memory kicked in to one of my deployments, kind of managing that crowd control, making sure we're providing first aid to anybody that's being hurt and pulling people to the side. So just going back to that muscle memory from like one of my deployments, just that was one of the craziest matches we had.
I love it. I love it. And that actually brought me to another question I got for you. Emergency management is kind of a big thing, but it's often overlooked, in critical situation management. Besides, the ICS classes that you can take online with like FEMA and things like that, what are some other avenues that veterans could do to try to get into something like that if they want to go work for FEMA or private sector or anything like that? Especially in the software space, there are needs for critical incident commanders, whether it be a software down situation or something like that. Like, where do you recommend going to get that professional education, the certifications, everything like that?
Yeah, so there's a great organization out there. It's called NCS4. They deal with anything that's event on the event side, terrorism, crowd management. It's a great website, and it gives you guys a lot of certification on there. And they work directly with the FEMA as well and DHS.
I love it. Now, we do have some people in San Diego in the area. How do you recommend getting your foot into the door with the Padres or any one of the teams that are down there, in any level? What do you recommend doing? Besides obviously the LinkedIn, hey, message, things like that, and the general networking. Like, if someone sat there and walked up to you tomorrow and be like, I want a job with the Padres, like, what do you recommend to them?
Event crew. If you can get into the event crew, that from there opens a bunch of doors anywhere you go. A lot of our directors, VPs for marketing, operations, sales, they all start at event crew. That's a great way into any club or any league, just being part of that event crew.
I love it. I love it 100%. Well, we got that hard stop here in 10 minutes, and I don't want to take up any more of your time. you have been a wealth of information, and I love it when we get to have guys like you from a professional sports team coming on here and being able to talk about your day to day, how you got there, and everything like that. You are a true shining example of veteran success and being able to sit there and really take those career pivots and really get into something that's totally awesome. So, Eric, I'll let you go ahead and wrap it out. Any closing, any other recommendations, everything, anything like that for these guys here?
Yeah, no, like I said, like use your benefits. That's something that you earn. Some people, they hate on it sometimes, but it's something you earn. You sign that contract and you earn those benefits. So use those benefits. Use your job bill, use your book rehab, and then I just market yourself. Just network, network, network. Get your foot in the door. Just start building those relationships, either with your current military members who you know in the future that might help you out, or just locally, just building those relationships as well. And then if you're dealing with any mental health or PTSD, just don't be afraid to ask for help. That's the biggest thing that I struggled when I got out the military, asking for help. It's okay to ask for help.
Absolutely.
Everybody's going through the same things. Just ask for the help, and it's going to
You
make
know,
your life 100% easier. And
I there is one last thing I do want to ask you. It did just you brought it up. I apologize. Um, what is your opinion on these groups that help with disability claims out there that are not like free resources, like Remedical or VetClaims.ai or some of these other groups? What's your 2 cents on them, and have you considered using them?
uh, for me personally, I think it's a scam. They're taking your money that you deserve. I mean, disability is something that you put yourself through that situation and you got hurt or something that's military related. So if you can use DAV or VFW or a nonprofit organization to kind of help you with those claims, I would recommend going that route.
All right, fantastic. Before I let you go, I do want to sit there and look at the chat real quick.
Yeah.
Drop a one if you'd be interested in working for the Padres or doing something like this in the security world for Major League Sports. Let me see some ones. Okay, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know if you have your chat open,
I
Eric,
do,
but
yes.
yeah, take a look at that. There are some interesting people. I'm going to change it up a little bit. Drop a 2 if you'd be interested in working for the Padres. Oh, we got 1. We got 2.
We've been voted the best ballpark in America, I think 4 years in a row. So it's a great place to be at.
I will say it is a
Yeah.
tight ship over there, and I do
Yeah.
appreciate it. Well, Eric, again, from the bottom of my heart, I do appreciate your time. When I'm out in San Diego again, I'll definitely hit you up because
Yep.
I'd love to meet you in person. Maybe we could drive over to Coronado and crush some tacos at Miguel's or something like
Yeah.
that. But thank you very much for your time. Have a great rest of your day. And let's give a round of applause for Eric Gonzalez from the San Diego Padres joining us today in this busy day. Thank you. Thank you very. Wait, whoa, wait a minute. I thought I saw a question. Hold on.
Yeah.
Someone had their hand up. Someone have a question? I guess
So I did. I'd left my email on the chat. So anybody wants to reach out, questions, feel free to send me an email as well.
You're going to get an email from me, brother.
Yeah.
But again, it's going to be let's link up and let's chat some more. And I'm going to get you connected with a couple of people who I know because I know for sure they'd love to have you on their podcast for sure. But again, representing the San Diego Padres, Eric Gonzalez. Thank